Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of the What's in the Words podcast. My name is AJ.
And I'm Steve Canal.
And we are back with another book review. Today, we're going to review Rise and Grind by the Shark, Daymond John. The subtitle is Outperform, Outwork, and Out-Hustle Your Way to a More Successful and Rewarding Life.
It's always great to be able to tap into a book that gives you insight, methodologies, and habits from true experience, from somebody who's been successful from, the creation of FUBU to being on Shark Tank on ABC. By being able to invest in new businesses that have been on Shark Tank, like Bomba Socks, which is doing amazing, and Aqua Vault, which is a pretty cool business as well. So today we're going to take a deep dive into Rise and Grind. I think it'd be great for us to start with the big idea. What did we get from this book? Be great to hear from your perspective, your thoughts on Rise and Grind.
From my perspective, the big idea is a few different things. And number one, Daymond did one of my favorite things, and that is looking at clues that other successful people have already created. And he took it upon himself to interview 15 people from various industries who have all started from different beginnings, but through hard work and grind, they've made it to levels of success in their industry. So I think that that's a smart approach as opposed to reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, I greatly appreciated the stories throughout the book. For me, Rise and Grind was about being able to achieve through sheer determination against all odds, being able to find a way to make things happen, and instilling the belief of truly believing that anything is possible and making your daily affirmations and goals a way of life, which is very important, and a key to success in achieving your goals is believing and making sure that your goals become a way of life. And that's something that I talk about, having your goals, but also having your systems in place. So you have your goals that you look at every day, but what are the systems that you're putting in place to achieve those goals? And I think they do a great job of highlighting not only goals, but the systems that they put in place to achieving those goals and what they faced in their journey.
One of the things that I love, and it's reflecting what you're saying, is, people like to call them secrets. But I don't think that they're necessarily secrets, but I think that people have certain habits that they follow. Those habits lead to successful outcomes. And the more successful people that you aggregate, the more you realize that there are patterns that overlap. And in pulling out those patterns, you can actually create a roadmap that you can follow, and it will lead you to some level of success. Because again, to what you said, you can have a goal, but if you don't have systems in place, then it makes it twice as hard to accomplish that goal. And if your goal if you have a goal and it's the right goal, but you have the wrong systems in place, then you cannot actually reach that goal. So I think that looking at other people who have systems in place that have proven successful makes it easier for you to have success. So that's kind of, my overview. And what was one of your biggest takeaways, Steve?
One of my takeaways were, I love how Daymond took the word shark and created his shark points and turned the word shark into acronyms. S being set a goal, H being homework and making sure you do yours, A being adore what you do, R, remember you're the brand, K, keep swimming. So I've always been goal oriented, and we talked about, aligning and putting systems in place. I've always referred back to my goals and always held myself accountable for putting those systems in place and sticking to those systems to reaching my goals. And then homework, I always say you need to be the smartest person or one of the smartest in your industry. That means you need to do your homework, you need to do your research, develop insights, understand who your customer is, and understand who's supporting you, and making sure that your brand is human and you're interacting and engaging with those people. And then adore what you do. I always say, do something that you love, do something that you can do without getting paid for. And I think adore is a beautiful word to define that. R, remember you're the brand, which I think is self-explanatory. Just understanding, and taking ownership in that brand. And then K, keep swimming, understanding that there are going to be bumps in the road, understand that there are going to be hurdles, but it's up to you to continue fighting that good fight and understanding that you have purpose and you're working towards something. And despite, even if it's success or failure or misfortune, either way, you need to still keep swimming. If you achieve your goals, you need to write down some new goals and keep swimming. If you have hurdles or failure, learn from those and keep swimming. So I thought that his shark points were great, and turning them into an acronym was something that brought it to life. What was a key point for you?
One of the biggest takeaways for me was that 90% of top executives get up before 6 a.m. So I did a little research, and here's what I found. Apple CEO Tim Cook wakes up at 3:45 a.m. to exercise, grab coffee before getting started working. The Rock Johnson wakes up at 4 a.m. so he can get an edge on his competition in the gym. Pepsi CEO Indra Nooyi wakes up at 4 a.m. and is at work at her desk no later than 7 a.m. Howard Schultz, Starbucks, wakes up at 4:30 to walk his dogs, exercise, and then get coffee. Jack Dorsey, Twitter and Square, wakes up at 5 a.m. He meditates. LinkedIn, Jeff Weiner, wakes up at 5:30. Richard Branson, 5:45. Gary Vaynerchuk, 6 a.m. every day. Oprah Winfrey, she was very specific, between 6:02 and 6:20. Warren Buffett, 6:45. Elon Musk, 7. Now, these are some of the ones that wake up a little bit later. One of the things that stood out was they don't wake up and check social media. They don't wake up and check email or Facebook. They wake up and they spend their first hour meditating, walking their dogs, writing, reading, doing things that can clear their mind or set the goals for the day. And it was repeated that when you start checking email and social media, that you're actually taking on things that other people want you to take on. So they wake up in the morning and they invest in themselves. So that was a huge takeaway for me.
I love that you covered that, because I also wanted to touch on that as well. Waking up early in the morning, there's tranquility that comes with that, right? Most people are still sleeping, there's silence. You can find peace within yourself and find peace within routines. And in the morning, when you wake up and you have your routine, it helps keep you grounded and focused. And I love the fact that, they display and they talk about that, because it is very important. For me, I'm kind of the opposite, where I sleep very late. I find that time 1 a.m, 2 a.m, because I know that most of the times it's just me, and I can focus on what I'm focusing on without much distraction. There's not many people posting at that time. There's not many emails going out around that time. So I know I can have a routine and be grounded within that space. And, to go back to your point of starting in the morning, one of the things that Gary Vee said in the book, and I know we'll get to quotes later, but this is aligned with what you're saying, is, start my day with perspective and end with gratitude. And when you start your day with perspective, it definitely sets you on the right track. So I'm definitely aligned with that key point that you brought up.
The other one was, I know we touched on this a little bit earlier, but my second big takeaway was the goal setting. I know people talk about goal setting all the time and the systems to accomplish it, but it's the clarity that people have, or that these people had, on what they wanted. People say, I want to be Oprah and I want to be a mogul, or any of the other moguls that you see out there. One of the things that they have in common is that they were very successful in what they did first, and then they branched out to do other things. So, for example, Daymond John, once he rose to the top of the apparel world, then he had the resources to branch out and do other things like investing and things like that. So I think it's very important to be singularly focused. And that doesn't mean you have to do one thing. So, for example, when you're in apparel, there are several different aspects of apparel that you need to understand. It's not just, I'm just going to buy and sell clothes. You need to understand the market. You need to understand how the money works around it, but it needs to be focused on that thing and that world around it. And the more clarity you have, the more quickly you can rise to the top of your industry, which will give you the resources to branch out and do other things. And each one of the people that he spoke with, they identified that as one of the key things, is being singularly focused.
I totally agree with that. Some of my most amazing moments within my career have been, the times where I've been super focused and clear on my goals and my objectives of what I was trying to accomplish. My second takeaway was the consistent theme of being thankful and living with gratitude throughout the book. You have all these amazing people. You have these 15 individuals who have achieved greatness in their industry, and they're all very thankful and live with gratitude. So they wake up every day being very thankful, and they go to bed with gratitude, understanding that it can be taken away at any moment. That is something that resonates and permeates through your soul, when you're meeting somebody. If you meet somebody and they live with gratitude, you can feel that. You feel that energy, and like that this is somebody I can vibe with. And you can also feel that energy of somebody who doesn't have gratitude, and just wakes up every day, feeling as if, they're, the world revolves around them and nobody helped them get there. They did it all themselves, and they feel as if, it's always going to be there. And that energy isn't something I personally want to be around. And when I feel it, I definitely disassociate myself with that person, no matter what they're accomplishing, how much they've been able to accomplish, what they can do, what they can't do. It doesn't matter to me. I'm all about energy, and I definitely appreciate those who are thankful and show you that they live with gratitude.
One of the other quotes that I liked was live life like a Kung Fu master. And when you think about a Kung Fu master, when you're a Kung Fu master at the age 40, you understand that if you really want true mastery, then you continue to learn, right? You can be at the top of your game at age 40, but there still may be other things that you need to learn. So the understanding of a master is that there's no such thing as true mastery. Mastery is a work in progress, and you're always setting the next level once you reach the level that you initially set out to accomplish. So a Kung Fu master could be the ultimate at 40 years old, and you think he doesn't need to learn any more moves, but a Kung Fu master needs to learn a different set of moves at 70 when his muscle retention and reflexes aren't the same. Live life like a Kung Fu master. That's my quote.
Yeah, it's forever learning and growing. You should consistently be learning. The moment that you feel that you have all the answers and you know everything, there's a problem. You should always be learning.
So a second part of my biggest takeaway is the acronym that Daymond created with Grind. G is for get on it. R is for repeat. I is for insist. N is for navigate. D is broken down into 3. That's desire, drive, and determination. And what he did with each one of those letters is he gave you sort of a roadmap again, to use that word again. It's a roadmap to follow. With the first one being, get on it. That means you got to get up. That's rising early. That's doing, the things that you have to do. Once you understand what that thing is, it's R, you repeat. Once you figure out, okay, this is working for me, you repeat that until you figure out something that works even better, and then you streamline. I is insist. It's demanding excellence. It's everything that you do is done with a certain level of excellence. It's navigate. Now, I think this is important because it's understanding what the things that disappoint you or the things that can set you back. And this one was a big one for me because some of the things that I enjoy doing are the exact things that can set me back, because I'm a huge football fan. So I can literally watch football all day Saturday, all day Sunday, listen to podcasts during the off season, drink beer and whatever. But what happens is that spills over into my Monday, because Monday I'm like, oh, I'm groggy. Then Monday night football, I'm like, oh, beer, football again. And Tuesday I'm groggy. Then Thursday night I'm like, oh, Thursday night football. So it's understanding and navigating the things that will set you back in your business, and making a decision, even if it's a hard decision, to stop doing some of those things. And lastly, it was desire, drive, and determination. I think those are self-explanatory. Steve, did you want to add anything to that?
I think you hit it right on the head. That's a really cool acronym, and he's done it throughout the book. We talked about, his shark acronyms, now grind, which is really dope. So I think you really touched on that. Nothing else for me to add on to that. I know throughout the book, there were hundreds of different quotes from these 15 individuals that are highlighted through the book, in addition to Daymond, and his experience and his quotes. One of the quotes that I really admired is actually two that I want to share really quick, but I'll say one and then I'll get into the second. But I couldn't let this one go without mentioning it. When Daymond says, "Hard work is the yeast that raises the dough." I thought that was pretty cool. It's a old quote that he brought up, based off his reference from Dunkin' Donuts. I thought that was pretty dope, and I didn't want to let that go by without bringing that up. And then my second quote that I want to build on is, "The structure you lay out and the ability to stick to it." We talk about goals, we talk about systems, and we talked about, waking up in the morning and before going to bed. The structure you lay out is your foundation. That's the roadmap. That is what's going to allow you to wake up every day and know what you're working towards. And when you understand what you're working towards, you know what to research, you know what to take a deep dive into, you know what to focus on. And it gives you the ability to stick to it, by putting down your goals every day and understanding that you need to revisit them, before you go to bed, and whatever, you didn't get to accomplish that previous day, you pick up the next day. And then you have goals that might be 5 years, 10 years down the line. And every day, it doesn't need to be a grand slam. You can hit a single, you can hit a double, you can hit a triple. The small steps are big wins as well. And it's important to acknowledge those small wins, because it's one step closer. And I always talk about taking one step closer towards your goals. That structure is important. So it's very key to understand that structure, organization, foundation, discipline, these are all things that will keep you on track, and give you the ability to, work towards what you're trying to accomplish.
So let's talk about cons. The only con that I think that repeats itself at least a couple times in the book is the idea that it can be misinterpreted as your life is meant to be all about work all the time. At least my perspective on life now that I'm a little bit older at 46 is a lot different than it was when I was 26. Now I realize that I enjoy spending time doing things that I like. So if I want to watch TV, for, as long as it's not impeding on business or family, I should have time to be able to do that. Or I enjoy going to the lake, which is not far from my house. I spend time out there. That's my quiet time. If you're on social media, you can very easily get into this grind till you die thing. And I think that there's a level of discernment that you have to understand that it's you don't have to be Gary Vee and wake up at 6 and go to bed at midnight. That's his that's his pattern. That's his thing for success. And you can do that if that's what you choose. But there's no, you have to not watch TV to be successful. You have to not, play basketball with your friends, or, take time to smell the roses. And now he does speak to, the balance side of it, but I think it can easily be misconstrued that when you rise, you have to grind until you go to sleep. So that's one of the overtones that I wanted to speak to. What about you, Steve?
I'm treading on the same tracks where, I think when you're a public figure, and pretty much everybody within that book are public figures or doing great things within their industry, so they're viewed at a high regard, that it is your duty to make sure you explain that balance as well. To your point, hustling and having that grind and that passion, yes, it's key. It's going to get you where you need to go. But you need to understand that, especially if you have a family, if you have loved ones in your life, you need to have that balance and self-love as well. A lot of people don't know when to check out. And you feel as if you need to go 100 miles an hour all the time. And if you go 100 miles an hour all the time, you're going to burn out. And it's not going to be good for anybody. So I always think it's important to have the balance of have the grind, have the hustle, have the passion, and go, go, go. But you still need to take a step back sometimes, appreciate that journey, check out for a second, hit the reset button, and then check back in. If you have a partner, then tag back in, but you need to have that balance. And I think it's important, especially now through social media and everybody always checking in. It always seems as if people are on all the time, and that's not the case. If you don't display that, then people are going to think that's what I have to do all the time, and people are going to burn out more times than not. And I get reminded of that all the time now that I'm married. My wife looks at me like, you are married and you have a child. Are you gonna come hang out with us and watch some TV with us?
Man,
Go play in the grass outside with us. Come in the pool. Are you gonna check out? Like, it's okay to check out. So it's important to have those people around you that are gonna remind you of that as well.
let me ask you a question. And this is out of our flow that we're going, but how hard is it for you, if left to your own devices, to check out? Because for me, because I enjoy what I do so much, I can literally work all day long. And if I don't stop myself, or if I don't have that thing set up, I can go nonstop, wake up to sleep. Now, I will have things that I do in between that I enjoy, but because I enjoy what I do, it makes it hard for me to differentiate because it's actually fun. So I think that, so how hard is it for you to do that?
Yeah, you said it. Loving what you do is a gift and a curse.
Yeah.
Right? The gift is you're doing something that you love, so you can do it nonstop. It doesn't feel like work. You're just constantly doing it. And the curse is you can go nonstop. Sometimes you get in that rabbit hole and you just keep going down. You're learning something new, then you get into this, and it's taking you somewhere else, and you're continuously growing. And you feed off that. Your mind is telling you, yes, I want more. So you're tuned in and you're locked in. And on the flip side, if you're working a job that you hate, you can't wait to check out. You can't wait to leave.
Exactly.
But the bad part is, go take a shot.
Go take a shot. And this is total conversational sidebar, but so we use coffee and happy hour to medicate. Yes. People wake up, they take their coffee to go to a job that they hate, and they come home and take a shot to celebrate leaving a job that they hate. That's crazy, right? One to survive it and one to be over it.
Yeah.
So we're going to give it our black fist, which is our rating scale. On a scale of 1 to 5 black fists, I give it a strong, solid 4 black fists. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, so totally aligned. I think it's funny because we don't talk about this beforehand, so we have no idea how many fists each of us are going to give. But I give it a solid 4 fists as well. So I think we're on the same page. I think it's a great read. I think there's some great examples in the book to tap into. You're hearing the stories of people who have done it in different industries and are providing you access into their world, giving you live experience and examples. And, I definitely appreciate Daymond for giving access into his network, because that's not what usually happens. People you said it earlier, it's a secret. People hold on to things. My network is my network and I'm going to leverage this. But for somebody of Daymond's stature to take a step back and say, hey, I know some amazing people. I'm going to share their stories in a book and share it with you for you to tap into and implement some of those things into your life. I'm grateful for that. So I give it a solid 4 fists.
And I give it a 4 for the same reasons. And I think anytime someone takes their time and effort to aggregate success of other people, I know this wasn't an easy thing to do with the level of people that he was interviewing, but I give it a solid 4. And I think to push it to a 5, I think that when you have a book like this, what you said earlier is that these people have, because we view them on a pedestal, it makes it a little harder. Even though you hear the backstory, it makes it a little harder to grasp that because they've achieved so much success. I think that a layperson can kind of feel disconnected, like, okay, well, he's Daymond John, or that's Catherine Zeta-Jones, or that's Gary Vee. So I think that to that level, there may be a little bit of disconnect from it. But I enjoyed it from top to bottom. And I think anyone who needs to be motivated and understand success clues should definitely grab a copy. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of our third episode of the What's in the Words podcast. We want you to do a couple of different things. Number one, we want you to follow us on social media, and we want you to share. If you're listening right now, do us a favor, take a screenshot and tag at Steve Canal, STEVECANAL, just like it says. And tag at AJ Joyner, AJJOINER. We're both very active on Instagram as well as other social platforms. Let us know what you thought. And if you're reading a book and you think it's interesting and you'd like us to give it a review, contact us there, DM us. We're easy to reach. Also, we both have books. Steve, you want to tell them how to get your book?
Yeah, you can find my book on Amazon, or you can find it on themindofawinnerbook.com, and I'll autograph that one personally because it's coming from me direct. On Amazon, you can find it as well, but you'll have to see me on one of my book tours or on the road. And you can also download the audio book, which I did myself, in addition to the ebook as well.
Love that. And I have a book for any of you out there who want to write a book. If you go to ajsfreebook.com, you can get a copy of my book, which is a blueprint on how you can write and publish your own best-selling book. That's ajsfreebook.com. And all you have to do is cover shipping, and it will be sent to your door within 5 business days if you're in the continental U.S. Also, my other books, if you go to ajsbookcollection.com, it's a list of all my other books that are on Amazon. You can find them there. And I really enjoyed this today, Steve. Any other last words?
Yes. Before we go, just want to leave a true rising grind moment. Daymond and I are both dyslexic, and we're able to challenge ourselves and push ourselves to do our audiobook. The Mind of a Winner audiobook, I read it entirely myself, which was very challenging. But just to give you an example of a true rising grind moment, we challenged ourselves to be great. And just wanted to leave that message and note with you that anything is possible. So make sure that if you have goals, aspirations, you take the step forward to make sure you achieve that.
All right, thanks so much, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Peace.